Hi, my name is Angela Vargas, and I'm a senior at LPS Richmond.
Hi, Angela. Can you tell us a little bit about the best part of your trip since you went to SoCal last year?
Well, my trip was so short that I'd have to say getting in and out in between the 6 to 8 hour car rides was the best part.
So, can you tell us a little bit about what happened, what your experience was on the SoCal tour?
So, my former friends and I decided that it would be a good idea to take marijuana on the trip. And on the first night, we smoked it in the hotel room to where Mr. Manacero came and said that they would be searching. So then him and Miss Witt and Miss Cravoy came in and just made a mess of our rooms trying to find something. And they did. And so the next morning, they told us that we would be on the next Greyhound trip, on the next Greyhound bus, going back home. And that from there our parents could pick us up and that they would follow up with our consequences.
So, can you talk to us a little bit about what the consequences were?
Um, yes, the first people who I had to be disciplined by were my parents. They obviously were very they lost their trust in me too. That they couldn't even trust me to go on a week trip without making a mistake or getting kicked off. And aside from losing their trust, I lost any privileges I had with my friends or going out and my cell phone. And aside from that, they were so ashamed that we had to keep it from our other than our immediate family. So that obviously felt really, really bad. And with LPS, right on the first day when I came back, I was to be suspended for the rest of the trip, so I couldn't come back. And even after that, they had to determine a man named Joe Pacheco had to decide whether to keep me in this school or not, based on an expulsion hearing that we would have later on. And so I think, with aside from losing my trust from my parents, I also lost my privacy and my reputation that I had at LPS, because after that, not just anybody who didn't know me now knew me as, oh, the girl who got kicked off on the SoCal trip, along with some other people. And not just from people at this school and staff and teachers, but also students' families. I know that some people told their parents, and now if they see me, they'll be like, oh yeah, Mm. Then this year, starting my senior year, I didn't really think I would have to deal with it as much, but when it came to my college applications, they asked me if I had any disciplinary actions, including suspensions or expulsions. And so I had to explain myself there, which was kind of tedious and kind of nerve-wracking, because then they would ultimately decide with a factor being that in mind. And yeah.
Thank you. So, what would you have done differently? And what advice could you give our juniors going on the SoCal trip this year?
Something I would have done differently is just not smoke, just not engage with the activity. If someone else brings it, try to not make yourself responsible or in that situation. Do whatever you can to not engage in that, not do it, because it's gonna have a consequence. Some advice I would give juniors for this trip is think twice about your actions and what you want to do, because it may not only affect you and your future, but it affects others. It has a great impact. I know it affected my family, my advisor, and everyone else on the trip, because even though they kicked us off, they were still more harsh and more focusing on the girls in that situation.
Thank you, Angela.
Yeah.